You know that moment, right? You step into a room, maybe your own living room, and it just feels like, well, like life exploded in there.
Oh, yeah. The laundry mountain, maybe some mysterious science experiments on the kitchen counter.
Exactly. So today, we're actually diving into something we all deal with, house cleaning. We've got this audio transcript, and it really unpacks this whole everyday thing.
It's interesting, isn't it, how something so seemingly basic like tidying up
Yeah,
connects to so much more.
yeah.
Our health, how we feel mentally, staying organized, even how we interact with people in our homes.
Uh-huh.
The source material, it's not just about how to clean. It goes into the why it matters.
Right. It's got this dialogue, specific words people use, common phrases explained, and it really gets into the importance and the methods. So our mission today, pull out all the good stuff, the key insights from this source, and give you a really solid but, easy to digest understanding of cleaning.
Okay, so the source kicks off with this scene, probably familiar to a lot of people.
Hmm.
A couple guests are about to arrive.
Oh, the pre-guest panic clean.
Exactly, that sudden urgency. And right away, you hear them dividing up the work. The phrase, such a mess, comes up immediately. It really sets the tone, doesn't it? That feeling of being, well, a bit overwhelmed.
It really does. Such a mess. The transcript points this out as like widespread untidiness, things everywhere, needs a proper clean. It gives the example of clothes on the floor, shoes scattered. Sounds familiar.
Totally.
Then it moves to chores, the regular jobs around the house,
Yeah.
laundry, making the bed. But the example that jumped out at me from the transcript was chopping wood as a childhood chore.
Right. Chopping wood. It really shows how chores can be so different depending on, well, where and when you grew up. It's not always just dusting, is it?
Definitely not. So after chores, we get tidy ups. That's kind of the first step away from such a mess, just putting things back in their place.
Yeah. Getting things organized.
Then there's spotless. That's the goal, right? Perfectly clean, no dirt anywhere, like gleaming.
The ideal state. And the last bit of vocab in this first part is mall. The transcript helpfully points out it's the American English word.
For what Brits call a shopping center. Yeah, those little differences are always interesting.
Okay, so then the source does something kind of cool in this putting it together section. It zooms in on the word groceries.
Yeah, seems simple, but they really break it down. Groceries are the food you buy, usually from a supermarket, milk, bread, eggs, that kind of stuff.
And the examples are so relatable. There's no milk. Can you go to the grocery store?
Right, yeah.
Or here's the grocery list.
And my personal favorite, I hate grocery shopping. Who hasn't felt that?
Seriously.
Yeah.
But what's also neat is how the source touches on those little regional things, like grocery store versus supermarket.
Right, and mentions that grocery store might sometimes mean a smaller place, especially maybe in Canadian English, while supermarket is usually the big one.
Exactly. Those subtle language nuances, it's not always clear-cut.
Okay, moving on. The Fluency Builder part of the source had some gems, like ways to sound more natural. Take, I'm in the middle of something right now.
Uh-huh.
The transcript says that's often how we actually say I'm busy. It implies you're, focused on a task.
Yeah, it's a bit softer than just I'm busy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gives a reason, kind of politer, maybe.
I think so. And then there's, I'll be there in a second.
Ah, yes, the classic.
Yeah.
Meaning soon, basically. Not literally 1 second.
Definitely not literally 1 second. But it sounds more immediate, more fluent than just, I'll be there soon.
It does. It conveys willingness, even if it's a slight exaggeration.
And the last one here was, why don't you? The source highlights this as a polite way to suggest something or ask someone to do something.
Right, like in the dialogue for dividing up the cleaning, why don't you vacuum while I dust? Something like that.
Yeah, it's much gentler than ordering someone around. More collaborative.
Definitely. It frames it as the suggestion, which usually goes down better.
So we can't ignore the vacuum cleaner moment in the dialogue.
The explosion. Yeah, that definitely added a bit of, well, unexpected drama.
A bit of humor, right? Keeps it from being just a dry list of chores. The reaction seemed pretty lighthearted in the source.
It did. A shared moment of what just happened. And it actually leads nicely into another language point the transcript brings up.
Which is?
The whole vacuum versus Hoover thing. Vacuum being the standard American English term for the machine.
Right, and Hoover being common in British English. And the interesting part is that Hoover is actually a brand name.
Exactly, like saying Kleenex for a tissue, or Band-Aid for a plaster or bandage. The brand becomes the word for the thing itself. Pretty powerful marketing, eh?
Totally. It's fascinating how that happens.
And speaking of the dialogue, the source also makes this observation about the man doing housework.
Ah, yes. It notes that, highlighting how household roles are changing. It's not just assumed to be the woman's job anymore.
Right. The transcript mentions it's becoming much more common, especially in, well, many Western cultures, for chores and childcare to be shared more equally between partners.
Reflects bigger shifts in society for sure. Okay, so after the language and the dialogue bits, our source really digs into why cleaning is actually important. It lays out several key reasons. First up, health.
Yeah, this is a big one. A clean house means less dust, less dirt, fewer germs. Pretty straightforward.
Which, as the transcript explains, can really help reduce things like allergies, asthma symptoms, and just generally cut down on getting sick.
It makes your home environment physically healthier. Less stuff floating around that can trigger problems.
Then there's the mental side. The source links a clean space to feeling calmer, happier, less stressed.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Clutter can feel, well, chaotic. Visually noisy almost. A tidy space can feel more peaceful, give you a sense of control.
Totally, like clearing out mental cobwebs by clearing physical ones. And that leads right into the next point, better organization.
When you clean, you usually end up putting things away, maybe even getting rid of stuff you don't need.
So things become easier to find. You save time, less frustration, hunting for your keys or whatever. It just makes daily life run a bit smoother.
That reduction in friction, in just the little annoyances of not finding things, it adds up.
Okay, what else? The transcript talks about respect and hospitality.
Right. A clean home shows respect for yourself, but also for guests. It makes people feel welcome, comfortable. It shows you care.
It's like putting your best foot forward for your home, creates a good impression, makes the space inviting.
Exactly. And the final point on importance, according to the source, is safety.
Safety. How so?
Well, think about clutter on the floor, toys left out, piles of stuff. They can be tripping hazards.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Especially with kids or maybe older people around.
So regular cleaning and tidying actually makes the home physically safer by removing those potential hazards.
Good point. Okay, so the source covers the why. Does it give us tips on the how to clean effectively?
It does. It offers some pretty practical advice. First, it suggests making a plan. Don't just dive in randomly. Break down big tasks.
So instead of clean the kitchen, maybe list wipe counters, clean stove, wash dishes, mop floor, like that.
Precisely. Makes it feel less daunting, more manageable. You get little wins along the way.
Okay, what else?
Gather your tools first. Get your sprays, cloths, vacuum, mop, trash bags, everything ready before you start.
Oh, good one. Saves you running back and forth looking for stuff. More efficient.
Definitely. Then it suggests cleaning one room at a time, maybe starting with the dirtiest one for maximum impact.
Right, and the classic advice, clean top to bottom. Dust falls down, right? So clean the high stuff first, then the floors last.
Exactly. Standard procedure, but worth remembering. And a really key part, decluttering.
Getting rid of stuff.
Yeah. Things you don't use, don't need, don't want. Donate it, recycle it, toss it. Less stuff makes cleaning way easier.
Creates more space, too. Mentally and physically.
For sure. The source also stresses having a regular schedule. Some small things daily, like making the bed, washing dishes, and then maybe bigger tasks weekly, like vacuuming everything, cleaning bathrooms properly.
Keeps things from getting totally out of control. And importantly, the transcript says, involve everyone.
Yes. Share the load. Cleaning shouldn't just fall on one person in the household. Make it a team effort.
Makes sense. So does it give examples of where to focus?
It does. It lists the usual suspects. Kitchen stove, counters, fridge, dishes, bathroom sink, toilet, shower, living room dusting, vacuuming, organizing, bedroom making the bed, tidying clothes. Even mentions windows, doors, and outdoor areas briefly.
Pretty comprehensive list to get you started.
Yeah, it covers the main zones.
Okay, and finally, the source material apparently has this EnglishPod audio review section. Sounds like a useful recap.
It is. It revisits key vocabulary like such a mess, tidy up, spotless in the middle of something, chores, groceries, reinforces those.
It's good for locking them in.
But it also adds a few more useful words. Immaculate, which is like even cleaner than spotless, maybe. Perfect.
Okay.
Do the laundry, dish detergent, and it points out the difference between American English, crash, and British English, rubbish.
Ugh, another one of those transatlantic differences. Trash versus rubbish. Good to know. That review section sounds like a good way to round things off, making you think about the specific language.
Definitely. Helps cement the learning.
So wrapping this up, it feels like we've gone way beyond just, scrubbing floors today. This deep dive into the source material shows cleaning is, well, It's complicated.
It really is. We've touched on the language, the practicalities, but also these deeper connections to health, mood, organization, how we treat guests, even safety.
It's amazing how this everyday chore, something maybe we don't think about much, is actually tied into so many different parts of having a functional and happy home life.
Our source really brought that out well, I think, connecting the mundane to the meaningful.
It definitely did. So maybe a final thought for you listening, thinking about all this, about the health links, the mental clarity, the organization. What's maybe one small thing about cleaning, one little habit or task that you might look at or maybe tackle just a bit differently now, something to chew on?
Hmm, good question.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive today. We'll be back soon to explore another set of fascinating source materials.